When moon is in the 4th house, the attachment is with home, the attachment is with mother, the attachment is with oneself. And when moon is in the 10th house, the attachment is more towards career, more towards business. 4th house moon makes you introvert. 10th house moon makes you extrovert. And to make a good career, to make a good progress in business, you need to be extrovert. You need to reach out to people. You need to connect. In the age-old times, in India itself, many great saints had emphasized on the significance of networking. Today, the Western world and the recent times, we are talking more about networking. Whereas in the ancient times, in our country, in India itself, many great people had emphasized on the significance of networking. Moon in the 10th house brings this natural quality, skill of networking. The more you network, the more you are good at networking, social networking, the more you can attract business, and the more you can even enhance your career. This is a good placement for someone in job, in a managerial role, in an authority role. And if he or she is doing business, then also this is an excellent placement, because this is very helpful for a business-minded people. This placement is highly demonstrative. The person likes to demonstrate through his or her actions. They like to set examples through their own actions. And that is why this placement can create good leaders, because a good leader is one who sets example through his own actions. Unless you do what you tell others, the others will not follow you. So first you have to do what you are telling others to do. This placement are generally people who walk the talk. One great person was born with this placement. His name was Swami Vivekananda. Reminds me of a beautiful story. Once it happened, Bodhidharma arrived in a village, and all the villagers were waiting that Bodhidharma will come and will speak and will give a beautiful discourse on spirituality, on meditation. And everybody was waiting that Bodhidharma will say something. But Bodhidharma, as you know, was a very strange man, although he was one of the greatest masters after Gautam Buddha. But he had his own unique way. So he arrives in the village and he says nothing. He sits down, closes his eyes, and he starts meditating. And the villagers are disappointed because Bodhidharma hasn't said anything. Most of them go back to their home. Many go back because they are angry that Bodhidharma hasn't said anything, and we were waiting for such a long time that he will come and he will say something. But he hasn't said anything. And only 5 people remained. Only 5. Because they understood the message. Bodhidharma didn't speak anything. But just by sitting and meditating, he demonstrated that if you do this, what I am doing, you will attain enlightenment. He showed it through his action. There was no need to speak anything. He just came and there was a huge crowd and he said nothing. He just sat down, closed his eyes and started meditating. It was a demonstration. And then later on, when somebody asked that why you didn't speak, Bodhidharma said, I thought to give them the real thing, the real demonstration. But they didn't have that depth of understanding. And so only 5 remained. Only 5. Rest of them all went back home. That is how this world is. Only few could understand. Only few could resonate. And that is why only few could become Buddha. In this podcast, I will share more on Moon with 10th house. So let's begin. Tenth house moon native is a Karmavadi. Karmavadi meaning one whose focus is on taking the right action, since they are focused more on doing good karma for the larger interest of the society. Remember, when a bird is alive, it eats ants. When the bird is dead, ants eat the bird. Time and circumstances can change at any time. Don't devalue or hurt anyone in life. You may be powerful today, but remember, time is more powerful than you. One tree makes a million matchsticks. Only one matchstick is needed to burn a million trees. So be good and do good. That is what karma is all about. Generally, these are good people who do not indulge in any negative karma, such as doing black magic on others, or cheating others, or backstabbing others. They are not interested in dark worlds of human life. They are the ones who focus on the brighter side of life. They are the ones who focus on their friends and not on their enemies. They believe that it is always good to focus on those who love them and who have always been there when they need them the most. Don't focus on your enemies and haters. Remember always, focus on the people that love you and support you, because those are the people that matter. 10th house moon natives are highly action oriented. They have arrived in this human world to carve a good career for themselves. And while they do so, they also are keen in making this world more organized. Organized approach, structural hierarchy, well-established foundation, all of this is what these natives aim for, and depending on the quality of their birth chart, they become successful in attaining their aim. These natives understand the significance of living in disciplined manner. They understand the significance of living a disciplined life. Remember, to live a disciplined life and to accept the result of that discipline as the will of God That is the mark of a man. Only a man who lives a disciplined life can become a leader, because leaders need to be disciplined. Leaders who are effective are leaders who are disciplined in their daily lives. 10th house moon placement has the potential to bring leadership qualities. However, the moon sign lord should be strong, else the native may feel frustrated, because then he or she will not get the required break or promotion in career. Native with moon in 10th house generally likes to be identified through his works, his talent, his skills, and his overall position in the society. The native needs a constant emotional assurance that he or she is important, significant, and is contributing to the betterment of the society. The sole purpose of this placement is to attain the top position. So if the native is doing job, he aims high, she aims high to become a CEO or a COO. And if the native is a party worker, then he aims to become a prominent political leader. And if the native is in film industry, then he aims to become a superstar. These natives are extrovert by nature, and they understand the fact that unless they reach out and expand their network of friends, they cannot progress in their career or business. And so they are good in reaching out to as many people as possible. This placement gives the quality of establishing good connections. 10th house moon placement signify a very ambitious person, and generally the ambition is to become the big boss. This placement can make you bossy by nature. If the quality of the horoscope is poor, then such a native turns out as the most difficult boss. His definition of leadership is being bossy. Leadership does not mean being bossy, always telling others what to do. That's not what leadership means. Leadership means going ahead, not putting others in the front. Good leaders lead by example, not by decree. However, if the horoscope has a certain quality to it, certain wisdom conjunctions such as Moon Jupiter, Jupiter Saturn, Jupiter Sun, or a Moon Saturn conjunction, then the person with Moon in 10th house is not just a boss but a true leader. The difference between a boss and a leader is that a boss says go, whereas a leader says let's go. Depending on the strength and quality of the 10th house lord, either the native becomes a typical boss or a true leader. It is necessary to remember the difference between a boss and a leader. A boss demands, whereas a leader coaches. A boss relies on authority. A leader relies on goodwill. A boss issues ultimatums. A leader generates enthusiasm. A boss says I, whereas a leader says we. A boss uses people. A leader develops people. A boss takes credit. A leader gives credit. A boss places the blame on others. A leader accepts blame on himself. A boss says go. A leader says let's go. A boss says my way is the only way, whereas a true leader says strength in unity. That is the difference between a boss and a leader. An evolved soul born with moon in 10th house can actually become a great inspiration for generations to come. That reminds me of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda was born with moon in 10th house. Here is a quick look at Swami Vivekananda's horoscope. Swami Vivekananda had his moon with Saturn in Virgo sign, and Mercury, the sign lord of Virgo, is placed in the 2nd house with Venus. 2nd being the house of speech, it provided Swamiji with excellent oratory skills. His first international speech at the World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago conference was so great that the audience gave him a standing ovation. When he began his speech by saying, "Sisters and brothers of America," he got a standing ovation from a crowd of 7,000, which lasted for 2 minutes. When silence was restored, he began his address. Here is a glimpse at Swami Vivekananda standing at the World's Parliament of Religions, Chicago, 11th to 27th September 1893. The Guru of Swami Vivekananda was a Ramakrishna Paramhans. Here is a beautiful picture, a real picture of Ramakrishna Paramhans. Ramakrishna Paramhans did many religious practices: Rama Bhakti, Vaishnava Bhakti, Vedanta practices, Islam and Christianity. Ramakrishna Paramhans tried to achieve the same spiritual state with different routes, and he succeeded. Hence proved that different religious paths leads to one destiny. Paramahans means the greatest swan, one who has become capable of discriminating between darkness and light, between right and wrong. Ramakrishna accepted every way. He was a rare man. He accepted every technique, every method, and he said everybody has to find his own way. There is no super way. Ramakrishna functioned more freely. There was no confinement anywhere. All the directions were open to him. He could fly just like a bird in the sky. No limitations existed. Paramahans means the greatest swan, who has become capable of discriminating between darkness and light, between right and wrong. It is not an effort on his part. It has become simply his nature, but his behavior may look mad. Ramakrishna Paramhans, the greatest spiritual master that the world had ever known, was suffering from throat cancer during the last days of his life. And it is said that a time came when he wasn't able to swallow anything. The disciples became restless. Swami Vivekananda became worried. They all said to Ramakrishna Paramhans, "You just close your eyes and tell the existence. It will listen to you." And he would close his eyes but would forget all about it. After a while, when he would open his eyes, the disciples were waiting. They would say, "What happened?" He said, "Nothing, because when I close my eyes, everything becomes silent." "What are you expecting to happen?" They said, "We had asked you to ask existence." Finally, they forced his wife, Sharda. "Perhaps only you can persuade him." Unwillingly, reluctantly, she asked him. With tears in her eyes, she said, "I don't want to tell you to do anything, because that is interfering. And my whole life I have never said a single word to interfere. You are far above. My hands cannot reach. But because these people are so deeply in anguish, I have agreed to say to you, just once, close your eyes and ask existence, what are you doing to me? Remove this cancer from my throat." Ramakrishna said, "Because you have never asked anything. Every wife is asking everything any day, every day. For your whole life, you have never asked anything, and this is maybe my last day or last days. I will fulfill it. He closed his eyes and after a while opened his eyes and said, Sharda, I asked, and I heard a voice saying to me, Ramakrishna, can't you drink with other people's throats? Can't you eat with other people's throats? Do you necessarily need your own? Are you still attached to your own body? And I said, no. I had to say the truth. So the voice said, from now onwards, you eat with everybody's throat, drink with everybody's throat. This is the stage of cosmic consciousness. The world may call such a man as a madman, but in reality, there is nobody as sane as this man. That is why Meher Baba always used to say that it is easier for a madman to attain enlightenment because he is already out of his mind, but through the wrong door, through the unconscious way. The master just have to show him the right way, the conscious way to come out of the mind. And then the same madman becomes an enlightened man. And Avatar Meher Baba transformed many madmen into enlightened beings. Narendranath was the birth name of Swami Vivekananda, and Ramakrishna Paramahams met Narendranath in November 1881 at Surendranath Mitra's house. Ramakrishna asked young Narendranath to sing a song, and impressed by his singing talent, Ramakrishna invited Narendranath to Dakshineshwar Kali temple. However, young Narendranath thought that Ramakrishna Paramahams was a madman. This was their first meeting. And look the irony of the situation. Just look at it. The master is inviting the future disciple, and the disciple thinks that the master is a madman. However, young Narendranath accepted the invitation and went to Dakshineshwar temple to meet Ramakrishna. It is said that the meeting proved to be a turning point in the life of Narendranath. Initially, Narendra did not accept Ramakrishna as his master and found him insane. But eventually he became one of the closest people in his life. Ramakrishna reportedly shaped the personality of Narendranath and prepared him to dedicate his whole life to serve the humanity. That is exactly what 10th house moon placement is all about, to serve the humanity. And Narendranath, that is Swami Vivekananda, dedicated his whole life to serve the humanity. The 10th house moon placement with excellent oratory skills that Mercury Venus in 2nd house provided him with helped him to convey the higher message effectively to masses around the world. I humbly prostrate to the greatest man who once walked on this planet, Swami Vivekananda. A beautiful real picture of Swami Vivekananda. Natural leader or a born leader is what the placement of moon in 10th house provides. However, it all depends on the overall quality of the horoscope. If the quality is poor, then the native becomes a typical boss. And if the quality is good, then the native becomes a great leader. Swami Vivekananda was a great spiritual leader. The negative example of moon in 10th house is the bossy dictator of China, Mao Zidong. He was not just bossy, but also went on to become a dictator, and we all know that a dictator is never a leader but a dangerous boss. Mao Zedong was the founding father of Republic of China. He was a son of a wealthy farmer. However, he was influenced by Marxism and Leninism, and he was the first member of the Chinese Communist Party, which has been ruling China for over 6 decades. Even today, it is the Chinese Communist Party that rules China. Here is a quick look at Mao's birth chart. A man who once was the most powerful person in China. The man who established a communist China that never have tasted the freedom of democracy. That is how dictatorship kills democracy. That is how a negative moon in 10th house gives birth to an autocratic ruler. As you can see, Mao's moon is placed in the 10th house in Ashlesha Nakshatra, Cancer sign. Ashlesha is highly cunning and secretive nakshatra. The 10th house Lord Mercury with Mars in 2nd house made him a highly provocative speaker. No doubt he was able to provoke the Chinese people and led many agitations against the ruling government until he attained his goal of attaining the supreme power. Because power is what 10th house moon seeks, and that is what he finally attained when he became the supreme leader of China on October 1st, 1949. Here is a picture of Mao Zedong declaring the founding of the modern People's Republic of China on October 1st, 1949. Mao ruled China for 28 years. He died at the age of 82. Millions and millions of Chinese citizens rushed to have the last glimpse of their great leader. The words inscribed on his portrait are as follows: "Carry on the cause left by Chairman Mao and carry on the cause of proletarian revolution to the end." The Chinese authorities never cremated the body of Mao Zedong. Instead, they displayed his body in the mausoleum of Mao Zedong in order for the Chinese nation to pay its respects. Mao Zedong remained a controversial figure, while a section of the Chinese society looked upon him as God, while the other section of the society found him as the devil. God or devil, his moon in 10th house helped him exercise the authority through which he tried to bring many social reforms in the Chinese society. Interestingly, the Russian dictator Joseph Stalin, whom Mao Zedong considered as his influencer, also had his moon in the 10th house. Joseph Stalin's moon is in the 10th house in Hasta Nakshatra Virgo sign. Here is a quick look at Joseph Stalin's Kundali. As you can see, moon is in the 10th house and Mercury is in the ascendant. Whenever the lord of any house sits in the ascendant, the house gains much strength. In this case, Mercury in ascendant has made the 10th house much stronger. Also, you can see that a strong Guru Rahu conjunction also exists in the 2nd house. However, it made no negative impact, as I have stated on multiple occasions that there is no such thing called Guru Chandal Yoga. I think those who gave such a dreadful name to this conjunction must themselves have had been Chandal. For those who don't know the meaning of Chandal, here it is. Chandal is a Sanskrit word for someone who deals with dead bodies and is a Hindu lower caste person, traditionally considered to be untouchable in ancient India. Many dictators are born with moon in 10th house, as well as many great leaders are also born with moon in 10th house. It all depends on which side the horoscope swings to. First US President George Washington and the famous UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher were also born with moon in 10th house. Washington had his moon in Capricorn sign while Margaret Thatcher had her moon in Leo sign. Benjamin Franklin was also born with moon in 10th house. I specifically like Benjamin Franklin's quote when he expresses his faith in God in the following words. Benjamin says, I have lived, sir, a long time, and the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth that God governs in the affairs of men. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? What a beautiful quote. And this is how Benjamin Franklin expresses his deep faith in God. Benjamin Franklin was a statesman, an author, publisher, scientist, inventor, and a diplomat. He had great interest in typography. He was a very successful printer. He is precisely known for drafting the Declaration of American Independence. He made important contributions to science, especially in the understanding of electricity, and is remembered for the wit, wisdom, and elegance of his writing. In fact, he is best known for his Poor Richard's Almanac. Almanac were very popular books in America, offering a mixture of seasonal weather forecasts, practice household hints, puzzles, and other amusements. Poor Richard's Almanac was also popular for its extensive use of wordplay and wisdom quotes. A quick glimpse at Poor Richard's Almanac. As you can see, there are many proverbs or sayings published in this Poor Richard's Almanac, and people used to like it a lot, and he was best known for it. Second house, 6th house, 10th house, all the three houses are linked. Through second comes the importance of values and principles. Through the 6th house, the values of the second house are manifested by the realization of service to the nation or society. And through the 10th house comes the status that one has gained by being in service to others, to the nation, to the society. So you see, there is a connection. Second house is values and principles. The 6th house is service. It is because you have certain values and principles that you are able to serve others. Because you understand the significance of being in service to others. And because you serve others, someday you attain a good status in society, which is signified by the 10th house. So values, principles, service, and status. This is how the triangle is. 2nd, 6th, and 10th. And that is why it is called as the Artha Trikona. Because when you do all of these things, it is but natural that you are going to become a wealthy person. You are going to become a rich man. You are going to become a man of abundance. And so moon in 10th house is a beautiful placement. However, astrology is not black and white. There are many grey shades that one has to observe without evaluation. Always remember, the ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence. 10th house moon is all about being high. Higher altitudes is what attracts them. They want to reach the top. They understand that to reach top, One has to go through many challenges and pain. One has to sacrifice a lot, but they are also aware of the fact that the view from the top is always beautiful. Always. Remember, success is in the journey, but the reward is the view from the top. The view at the top is always worth the climb. 10th house moon natives are born to achieve heights of success. However, it all depends on the quality of the horoscope. You may have a good Mercedes, but if there is no petrol inside it, then what's the use of having a good Mercedes car? Similarly, just having a 10th house moon is not enough. To enjoy the ride, you got to have a good amount of petrol, that is, good amount of inner growth. Only then you will catch speed, and then nobody can stop you. Nobody. Remember, inner growth is possible only when you start turning inwards, when you start meditating every day, when you start chanting with love and devotion. Chanting meditation is one way to practice Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of love and devotion. Remember, nothing can stop you until you choose to stop. Never stop, never retire, never settle. Because life never retires. Life is like a flowing river. And so as long as you continue to flow without stopping, you continue to blossom. You continue to remain fresh like a red rose. Live, love, and let go, for that is the surest way to remain happy. Smile, and life will also smile back at you. Always remember, what you do is what reflects back. So do good, keep smiling, and life will also smile back. Jai Sri Ganesha, Jai Guru. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.